Welcome to Keepers of the Marbles. You came to a YouTube channel about marble collecting. We call ourselves the Keepers of the Marbles. My name is Cody Kemp, and this is...
My name is Jeff Baker. I'm a 40-year plus collector, and Cody's been collecting for about 10 years. So between the two of us, we've got a half a century of experience that we're excited to share with you. And we're going to be doing that in a series of videos that we're just kicking off today.
We'll be covering mostly German handmade marbles, the different categories of German handmade marbles, the different types that they fall into, and really growing your knowledge specifically on the German handmade marble area, but also about marble collecting in general too.
Right, and identifying the different features of the marbles that give value, that give variety to collect, and also for valuing marbles, for determining what is worth what based on the rarity and features that they have. Marbles, the history of marbles goes back centuries and millennia. I've got a marble that that was excavated from Venice, Italy in the 4th century. A glass handmade marble. Beautiful marble, very heavy leaded glass marble. It's in the Marble Museum right now. But
wow,
they go way, way, way back. And so a lot of marble collectors think, well, I've got a clay marble, you know, from the 1800s. That's pretty old marble. But no, I mean, even the Native Americans had marbles. Anything around that would roll would be a game.
Yep, they made them out of the earliest marbles. Well, we'll get into some of the history of the marbles.
Yeah.
But right now, you know, like Jeff said, we have about 50 years combined. Mm-hmm. I am Jeff's son-in-law, and he got me into marbles about 10 years ago now, and absolutely fell in love with them. Really based off of their beauty and their eye appeal. And then when I started finding out that some of these marbles are worth thousands of dollars. You heard that right. Not hundreds of dollars, thousands and many thousands of dollars.
Right.
Right. Just on this table alone, how much, what would you say a modest valuation of the table would you say, Jeff?
Oh, there's easily 50 grand there.
$50,000 worth of glass and stone marbles.
There's some extremely rare marbles here on the table. There's one in particular I'm looking at right now. And it's this one right here. There's only 10 of these known to exist. And so we'll get into what these are in a minute. When I started collecting, I didn't realize they had that kind of value.
Right.
You know, I didn't realize that they had this kind of variety and this kind of beauty. I just started putting them in a jar, and I had them on top of my refrigerator.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was really consider myself a collector, but I had marbles, right?
Right.
And a buddy of mine came over from college to study, and I was early 20s, and he saw my marbles, and he says, "Oh, you collect marbles too? So do I." And I thought, huh, well, I have marbles, but I don't collect them. I never heard of anybody collecting marbles. I thought that was kind of odd, you know. But when I saw his, and they were gorgeous, beautiful marbles, and then he showed me a book that he had on marbles, and there was marbles in there I'd never seen or heard of or knew existed. Some of them were very large, like what we see here in the middle. And this group right here and this on this solitaire board. These are German handmade marbles that were made beginning late 1840s, really kind of kicked off in the 1850s and went to about World War I and then petered out. But these marbles were what people collected back in the 80s when I started collecting. They really didn't collect machine-made marbles very much. This group right here, we're going to get into that. These are contemporary marbles. Those didn't even exist. Or just were starting to come onto the scene back then. And those were a total different variety of marbles from all the rest of these, and we're going to get into why on that later. But
well, I was going to say, I mean, that's 1980, pre-1980, all glass marbles, and even prior to that, stone marbles. One of the defining characteristics of a marble would have been the fact that it was a toy.
right,
Pre-1980,
right.
and I'll explain to the viewer why 1980 was such a strange cutoff, and why that it's valuable for you as the collector to know that in a little bit. But that puts marble collecting really into the category of toy collecting. And there are so many other collectibles
Right.
that fall into that category, whether it be Pokemon cards, whether it be baseball trading cards. These were made as childhood consumables. And marbles fall into that category squarely, because you have a product that is being mass produced to be able to be sold cheaply to a child, and then it was never meant to go any farther than that. And so that's what brings some of these such amazing value, is the fact that they've stood the test of time, and there are this group of marbles, the German handmaids. Why they are so unique is that they were only made during that very unique time period in history, pre-World War I and post-1850, right? And so you can automatically, if you know what you're looking for with a German handmade, you can automatically date it to, at the very least, that 60-year window in time.
So they had to be done by hand in a furnace. These workers created a cane of glass to work from, and they would stretch it to get whatever diameter they wanted. And these would vary from 2.5 inches in diameter down to under a half inch in diameter, depending on how far they stretched that cane. And then they'd work one at a time off of that cane of glass, and it would have a pontal on each end. And that's what identifies these German handmaids.
It would
Everything
look
comes
like
to a pontal.
It would look like a north and a south pole
Uh-huh.
on the sphere.
Right. And from 1850 to 1880, they would finish those pontals by hand grinding them as smooth as they could to make the marble just as perfectly round as possible. But then they'd throw them in crates, hand them off to the dock workers. The dock workers would throw them on a ship. They would sail across the Atlantic Ocean to the United States, handled by dock workers there.
Get thrown onto a train.
And then put in the hands of kids.
Yep.
And the kids are used to these clay marbles, like this one, or this this is called a Bennington. It's a brown marble.
Yeah, pre-1850.
This is all they had. But then when these came on the scene with these gorgeous colors of ribbons running pole to pole, their eyes just popped.
That really became the heyday of marble era. Was that post crockery, rock, bisque, agate marble. And then you start seeing these glass ones come online.
Yeah.
And the craftsmanship in them, the colors, and these businessmen, again, these were being produced by factory workers, and they were paid by quantity.
Right.
It was not paid for you to go above and beyond and make something, take too much time to make it, right? Because each one of these marbles takes multiple stages to make a glass marble. If you've ever seen glass blowing or glass artwork of any sort, it's a very tedious process.
It would be counterproductive for them to spend time to make something really extraordinary with great craftsmanship, because they're just being shipped off to the kids to play with. But yet they did, because they took pride in what they did. Some of these men that worked, with the glass. Then when the children got these, when I played marbles, I always looked for the prettiest one.
Yeah.
And I want to play for that. Guess how I win that marble? I have to hit it with another marble.
Yep.
And so you think of all of these stages that this marble went through, of being shipped and handled by dock workers and played with other marbles with kids on the playgrounds and the fields and wherever they could play, the streets.
Yeah.
And they, very few of them survived that kind of handling. And
that was the name of the game.
So as a collectible, they've really risen. They're really kind of a commodity.
They
now.
really are. Well, you can't go back to 1910 and continue making these.
No,
people have tried.
These are a finite number of these,
Yep.
and they're not increasing. They're diminishing as more and more of them are lost in home fires or damage from us handling them.
People collect. Yep. People not knowing what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, many of you watching might have just inherited a collection. You may have just saw a jar of marbles that were pretty in an antique shop. But again, you probably bought that for $2-3. Grandma's collection in the closet. What is it worth, and how are you going to be able to identify it?
A friend of mine, fairly new collector in Oregon, ran across some marbles at a yard sale. And he knew that they were old. They weren't the German handmades. They were some machine-made marbles, but he still identified them as special. And there are some companies that make machine-made marbles that are known for rare marbles, and they have some that are extremely rare. And he thought he had one of these, and he sent it to me, and he was right. He did. And he asked me to see if I could sell it. It had a chip on it, and it had 3 moons, little circular rings where it had been hit by the marbles.
How big was it?
It was 11/16 of an inch.
11/16 of an inch.
It was called a Cyclone. It was made by the Christensen Agate Company, and that company produced beautiful glass marbles that were automated process, so they weren't handmade. But
they were in this age category.
Right. But they only produced marbles from 1925 to 1933, and their factory burnt down. And so, like I said before, when there's a finite number of something, it's very collectible. So anyway, I sold that marble for him, and he messaged me later. He said I got triple what he thought he'd be able to get for it, and it sold for $1,600. That one 11/16 inch marble in the other marbles in the bag at a yard sale.
At a yard sale.
At a yard sale. So we're going to educate you about the nuances of every type of marble, and we're going to start off with categories of marbles, and then we're going to do a deep dive with future videos into individual marbles in those categories, and we're going to really focus initially on the German handmades. But
because within just the German handmade, when we say a German handmade, that does encompass a 60-year time period of glass marble making, right? From 1850 to 1910. Those are rough numbers, but within a few years of that, it's not that far off of 60 years. But within that time period, you have different marbles that date to different time periods. You have a marble like this. That's called a peppermint. But this dates right around the time of 1876. It would have been shipped from Germany to America to celebrate the centennial birthday of America.
Right.
Some of the earliest peppermints would have been made with mica flakes in them to look like the stars.
The stars of the flag.
The stars of the flag. But you then have another category like onion skins. And within just the category of onion skins, you have 30 different types.
A lot of varieties.
You have so many varieties, and that's why we will be breaking down that 60-year time frame to hopefully get you some dating accuracy to, to be able to date a marble that is pre-1880. There's some telltale signs of be able to predate before 1880. Some that are, different colors, different types of glass that you're going to see.
The colors they use them, even the UV reactivity of the glass is a telltale sign of, was it with a wood-fired furnace that glass was heated, or was it gas-fired furnace? And so the earlier wood-fired ones would
put off imperfections,
create a radioactivity of that glass, and it'll glow slightly yellow with a black light. And just so fascinating to learn about marbles. And we're going to be talking about each one of these in depth with future videos. But today's video isn't about that. Today is just to get you connected with the marble community, to give you some a little bit of a background about us and why we're so passionate about it. And hopefully you'll follow us in future videos. I started a marble show on the West Coast back in 1990, 89 or 90, called the Pacific Northwest Marble Convention. And there was nothing in the Northwest, and so I wanted to bring collectors together. And we had a marble show with over $1 million worth of marbles at it.
Oh, wow.
And it was scary.
Yeah, I bet.
It was scary, but it was fun. And you know what? People would come from all over. We had people from Pennsylvania coming out for it. Lloyd Huffer, he's no longer with us, great man. Him and his wife came all the way out for our marble show.
Wow.
And yeah, it was great.
Well, and what's great about these marble shows is it really brings the generations together. You and I are a testament to that.
Yes.
We're from two very different generations, but we've bonded over something like marbles because of the beauty, because of the just overall appeal as a collectible.
You have something in common.
Yeah.
I love seeing that. When I'm at the shows, there isn't age gaps. There are no age gaps. You see children. Your wife used to, when she was 8 years old, my daughter, she came to the shows and she was hanging out with people in their 80s and 90s talking marbles.
Yep.
And they were both excited about what they had in common to talk about. And there's a man that made this marble right here. His name is David Salazar. He's from California and great artist. In fact, this marble is featured in the Smithsonian Magazine as well.
Really?
Yeah. And I have a marble in the Smithsonian Magazine on the cover of it. And but anyway, David was talking with Elizabeth, your wife. He asked her, he says, is there any cartoons or movies that you like? And she says, I like Finding Nemo. He says, oh, that's that movie about the clownfish that was lost, right? And she said, yeah. So he tucked that away in his mind, and next year when he came back to the marble show, he brought a marble that he made, because he likes to do this under the sea scenes.
Yeah.
Like that's an angelfish. And he made her a clownfish marble. And he did a great job with it. But he said it was very, very difficult to do, and he said he won't ever make another one.
Oh my
But
goodness.
he signed it, and he dated it, and he gave it to Elizabeth.
She still has it.
Yeah, yeah.
So one of one.
It's a one of a kind.
Yep.
And but there's such camaraderie
Yeah.
within the marble community. But what's unique, I think, is that not everybody has the exact same interest in marble collecting. Some people look for a certain size marble. I know a guy that collected only 9/16 inch marbles.
Really?
Yeah. And then you have people that collect certain colors. You have people that collect certain types. You have people that collect certain artists. Like these are all artistry marbles.
Right.
And
that
and some people collect just certain artists' marbles.
well, and that kind of teases out. This is the hard cutoff line of 1880. Now there are
1980.
1980. Thank you. The hard cutoff of 1980. There are still marbles being produced today, many out of Mexico, China, that are still being produced as toys, and you can find them in the dollar store. You can find them in the different places, and surprisingly, there are some ones that are still relatively collectible that are being machine made today.
Right.
That being said, in the 1980s, there also became the contemporary artists. And these were the first time that marbles were being handmade again outside of the German handmaids, and we'll tease it out a little bit, but there's also other handmaids, right, coming from other countries, and we'll get into some of those in just a second. But the contemporary marbles were coming online in the 1980s, and many were made just as art pieces. Others were made to look like replicas of the old German handmaids, but they were never made as a toy. They were made as an art piece, and they were collectible as an art piece.
Right.
But they were not collectible as a toy.
Right.
So it kind of took the marble community in a different direction.
Totally different direction. Yeah.
Totally different direction.
And that's totally fine. I know
Right.
people that collect just the new ones.
I have some.
They're
You have
gorgeous.
some. They are
They're gorgeous.
absolutely phenomenal.
I've bought some. Jeffrey Beadham is a well-known marble contemporary marble artist, and I've commissioned him to make
Yeah.
me a set of
Because you have Goldeneye and
Goldfinger and Bond
Goldfinger.
is what he calls them. They're large, about that big, and they have Lutz is a goldstone copper inside the marble, but he made canes of Lutz, and then he built the canes into another big cane
yeah,
and made.
they are
So
gorgeous
this is only
marbles.
the only second set of these that he's ever made. One was for Ron Buell in Switzerland, and one for me.
We can put that on the video right now for the viewer
Sure.
to see, because they are. We're not knocking a contemporary artist. They are gorgeous marbles, and they really are. They have a certain degree of collectability in and of themselves. But something that this YouTube channel will do is help teach you to be able to spot the differences between contemporary,
Right.
German handmaids,
Right.
machine maids, transitionals.
These are the transitionals here. Just to go around the table, this set of marbles are clay, stone, agate, crockery type marbles with a glaze over them, china marbles with painted lines, and you even got one in here made out of
Ivory.
ivory.
Yep,
Yeah.
from the late 1700s on a whaling ship.
Right. So these are the early marbles that children played with. Then you've got the German handmaids that came in the mid 1800s and throughout Abraham Lincoln period and all the way up to World War I. I'm going to save this set here. Then you've got the transitionals. These were hand-gathered glass, but finished with a machine. So the modern era was being, and these were
The machine was being
U.S. produced.
right.
When
They stopped being produced in Germany and stopped being
they
imported.
quit doing it because U.S. came onto the market,
Yep.
making our own or handmade marbles that were finished with machine, and then in the 1920s, fully automated machine-made marbles, and in 1980 on, you have the contemporary marbles. This set,
Plus machine made still. The way
and
that
still they're still today.
the way that toys are made still to
Right.
this day are very similar to the way that they were made starting in the 1920s, where a machine decides how much glass comes out, drops it in, rolls it out,
Right.
mass produces the marbles. Sorry to say this, but the transitional period, that also is a very unique time frame in there, because that was a very short window
Short time frame,
where
yeah.
they were getting the worker out of they were phasing the worker out.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the worker was the one that had to gather the glass,
Yep.
hand gather it, put it into the machine.
Look how this swirls.
Oh,
He
it's
spun
gorgeous.
that glass.
Yep, he sat there and spun
Wow.
it, and the twist was more. The twist was more made by the person making it versus the machine making it.
Right, right. China had some beautiful art, glass artists that I think saw the German handmaids, and this is just my opinion because we don't know for sure, but I believe they wanted to show off their art skill. And so in the 1920s,
Yeah.
China started making marbles by hand, but they made very, very few of them. So they're very, very valuable, very, very collectible. In fact, this one right here, it's called a bird cage marble. And we'll show this on the video,
Yep.
a close up. There's only 10 of these known to exist. Up until a week ago, there were 9 that existed, and 1 more has been found. And that's what's fun about it.
10 total.
10 in the world. 10 in the world. And
unless you're watching this right
Yeah.
now,
message us if you got one.
yeah. If you do have one, they also came in paperweights.
Yeah, but those are way more common.
They were way more common,
Way less valuable.
but not. Yeah, the marbles were far more valuable.
Right.
Far fewer
Right.
of them made.
Right. And so the handmade China marbles are fantastic collectibles. And honestly, I think even experienced marble collectors, there's a lot of people that don't even know these exist because they're not in marble books. And it's not unless you go to marble shows and experience other collections that people have and meet other people that you really learn about this stuff. I've had a couple of times where I would go and display marbles that were rare types at shows, and I was surprised to hear how many collectors that I thought would know didn't know anything about them. And
Really?
in fact, this last year at a marble show, I had my collection of gutta percha marbles.
Also a handmade marble.
Handmade marble, 1850, 1860,
Yeah.
out of New Zealand and Asia. And I think they even produced them over in the UK. I'm not sure where they got the material for it, but because those trees come native to New Zealand and southern Asia.
And
Anyhow,
again, this is from the
the
sap,
sap of the tree is what they
of
use.
the gutta percha tree, not the wood of the gutta
Right.
percha tree. It was a sap ball that was covered in a type of paper mache
Yeah, yeah.
that they had.
That was also, I think, some kind of an acrylic type material, but not paper itself. But
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
type of painted.
yeah,
Yeah,
gorgeous
very-
marbles and rare, and they
Extremely
can get
rare.
large. Some of them,
Some
very
of them
few. I think there's
also
only
have
5 or
LUTs.
6 large ones. Yeah,
Yeah, and the large ones, some of the larger ones have LUTs in them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which Lutz was a something that was only seen in German handmaids.
But I brought my collection of my rare Gouda
Yeah.
perches. I couldn't believe how many people come to my room to look at the display. They said, "That's outstanding. I've never seen anything like it."
Yeah.
And people that I know have $100,000 collections. And yeah. So anyway, marbles are fascinating.
I was going to say, that leads us, bringing up $100,000 collections. That brings us right into we promised you that we would give you a teaser on the valuing and the marketing, the market that you can find these marbles in, and the value that some of these marbles are going to be going for.
There's over 50, probably more like $60,000 worth of marbles right here on this table.
Yeah, you can pick some of these out, and this one alone being a 27 lobed 4-panel
24.
onion, 24 lobed 4-panel onion skin.
Yeah.
Just absolute gorgeous, and it's over 2 inches.
Dead
I
weight.
mean, that marble alone is going for
That's a
$10,000
marble. Yeah.
Right. That lightning strike. How many lightning strikes are there known?
36.
36.
One of 36.
Known.
This is multiple, many thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bird cage alone. It's, peppermints. They don't get that size in that condition.
No.
Colored glass swirls. These are some of the rarest marbles you will see, and you will find them going for upwards of $30,000 to $35,000 for some of these ultra rare marbles.
Right. And they do. And honestly, it's the privilege to buy it.
Yep.
It's not even, I'm going to spring for it. It's like, nope, you're never going to get another chance at it. And so you better jump on it if you get a chance to buy something rare.
There are some marbles that are in collections that just won't come out of that collection.
Oh, most collections.
At whatever price is put forth.
Right.
It's
right.
There. I mean, you have some marbles.
My wife
in your
has
own
a marble
collection.
like that.
Yep. That she has been offered many, many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But she won't part with it.
Nope. And they're really a commodity. I could take any one of these marbles here and find a buyer for them today if I needed to sell them. And there's been times when my marble collection has had to be sold because of life. And so I like collecting marbles because they're beautiful, but I also want to collect them knowing in my mind that if I ever need to sell them, I can. And so when I do collect marbles, I try to buy marbles that are in great condition. Condition, I've always said, condition is king. If you have a marble that's chipped, it's harder to sell, and it's less attractive to a buyer. If you got one that's not chipped, then it's going to be easier to sell. I had a guy message on Facebook today. He says, I'm at a marble store right now. He's looking for me there. I'm not at it. But he says, Jeff Baker said condition is king. And I don't know why he said that, but it's always been a statement I've made. But it is king.
And that also goes for some of the red flags that we should point out to the viewers. Not only condition, but original condition.
Yes.
There was a period of time in the 80s when these marbles were not thought to be, like they were thought to be collectible, but they were thought to be more collectible if they were prettier, and they would polish them.
Right.
And many, many, many marbles got ruined in that 1980, in that 1980, 1990 time frame.
People would buy them, sometimes not caring if they were polished, but also some people not knowing that they were polished.
Yes.
And so you really need to educate yourself on what to look for, and I might as well do that now. When you're looking at a German handmade, for example, or even a machine made, if you look at the light reflection on the surface of the glass and you slowly move that marble, you're going to see the light jump across little imperfections on that surface of that glass. If it's been polished, it's going to be smooth, and you're almost going to see a starburst effect from the reflection of the glass, and it's not going to move unless they got big flat grind spots on it, which some poorly polished ones did have that, but the very minute imperfections on the glass has to be there for it to be an original condition marble. And the German handmaids have pontels on each end because they were made one at a time from a cane of glass, and it would leave pontel marks on each pole of that marble, where all the design comes to the point there, and that's where the pontel is. Even the ones that were ground and faceted, you will be able to tell that from a polished one, because a polished one's just going to be totally smooth, where the faceted pontels that were made from 1850 to 1880 will be flat little spots around that pontel, and the light will jump as you turn it, kind of like glisten around there.
Yep.
But yeah, be careful about buying marbles that have been polished, because they're not worth as much. It's almost a cardinal sin, in my opinion, to polish a marble unless it's so beat up that it brings some value back to the marble to polish
some joy back. It's
Yeah.
To me, that's the only time that it's a proper time that somebody could polish marble. Is like I said, if like you said, if it is too beat up and you can't even see the beauty underneath all the chips and the breaks and the dents, and it was just well loved, and your desire is to bring the beauty back to it, but you are going to have to take off a lot of that outer glass layer to bring that beauty back. But I have seen some beautiful polished ones. But again, knowing what you're buying versus what you're not buying is a better thing, a good thing to know. Right. And there are times that they will polish the outside of the marble but leave the pontels. So that's another thing to look out for. For a starting budget, what would you tell new collectors? What can they expect to pay for some of these marbles?
You can collect marbles with any budget, and most collectors don't start off with a budget. They start off
with a desire,
paying as little as possible.
Yep.
And that's how I started.
Yeah.
And you just want to find a marble that you like. That's important. Don't buy a marble because someone else likes it or because it's rare. If it's ugly to you, you want a marble that you actually can enjoy. Because if you're collecting something, you want your collection to be enjoyable. You want to be able to get value from it, not just financial value, but personal value from that. And
so the number one advice I give any new collector is, I don't care if you're collecting brand new ones right off of the assembly line today. If that marble brings you joy, collect it.
Right. And your tastes will change. It did with me, and almost every collector I know maybe didn't start off liking all the marbles that they like today. Maybe there's some that they didn't even like at all. And like for me, I didn't care for sulfides because they seemed too plain. It's just a white figure in clear glass, and a lot of them were chipped. And it was just hard to find original surface condition ones that weren't polished. Those are a common one for polishing, because sulfides, just for the viewer to understand this, they only have one pontil, and it's usually under the figure or behind the figure. So look for that pontil, but also look at the surface. You should see some glass working, texturing of that glass. It's going to be minute, but you'll find it, because they would polish marbles leaving the pontil intact. And so a person would think, oh, this is original. I see the pontil. Well, you got to look beyond that.
Yep.
But sulfides commonly were polished. A lot of times they were put in a sphere machine just to grind them down perfectly round, and it would lose the pontil.
Yeah.
But the ones that were hand polished
Yeah.
and buffed, they would a lot of times try to save that pontil. And I'm glad they did. I mean, it does, I think, give it more value than if they wouldn't have.
There's a section of the glass
Yeah, that's
that is
original. Right.
and that's that is and like you said, your taste in time, like
Right.
it
Now
does
I
change.
now I have a collection of sulfides. I don't know. I've got quite a lot of money wrapped up into my sulfides,
Yeah.
and I look for new ones,
Right.
stuff that I don't
Clam
have.
broths were the same for me.
Yeah.
Because
These are
again,
clam broths.
it
yeah.
is very difficult. Yep, it is very difficult to find. That's a clam broth. A clam broth is defined as an opaque glass with evenly spaced surface bands.
Yep.
Most of the time, they are a single color. They do come in multiple colors on the surface bands, and they do come in different types of opaque glass. But the opaque glass, to me, was not as eye appealing, and to many children, it was the same deal, because these opaque glass, they would chip, they would shatter, they would get beat up
Right.
way too fast.
Right.
And the clear glass outcompeted them on the market. And so the businessmen, the factory owners, as these marbles were being made, they would see that the clam broths, well,
They're not selling.
they wouldn't sell. Stop making them.
Right. But now as a collector, I love the clam broths
rare.
because they're so hard
So
to
rare.
find, especially one that's in original condition, not beat up.
Yep.
And so now I have an affinity towards
Yes.
marbles that are opaque glass with surface bands, because they are easily damaged and destroyed, and very, very hard to find in original condition, especially very large ones. Smaller ones, a little less mass, and so they don't chip as easily. But you get a big one, boy, you can drop that on a floor and a big chunk come out of it.
Yep.
And
Well, and they and the opaque glass marbles came in multiple different types, whether that be banded opaques, Indians, and clam broths. And we will get into what
What each
all
one of
those
these-
are. It's
So-
diving into this world with us, going down this marble journey, is going to be a fascinating.
I'd like to say one thing real quick, since we talked about maybe dropping marbles and damaging marbles.
Yeah.
All of you who have marble collections probably already know this, but those of you that are just getting started, I want to say, when you're looking at your marbles, it's real easy to pick one up and hold it and look at it over top of other marbles. Not even thinking that you might drop it, but they get fumbled. And unintentionally they can fall and hit another marble and damage both marbles. And so out of respect to other collectors, if you're ever looking at another person's marble collection, don't hold it over other marbles. First ask if you can pick it up. Then if they allow you to, then look at it over a safe space, over carpeted floor or
Towel or a bed.
yeah, right.
Something.
Anything that if you do drop it, it's not going to chip the marble.
Yep.
So I just want to say that because I've done it. I've dropped my marbles on my own marbles before, and I've seen it done at marble shows where people would pick up someone else's marble and drop it and hit another marble. So just word to the wise, just be careful with handling these. And when you're collecting these, you want to protect them from hitting against each other. I started off with a pistol case that had egg carton foam. I bought it at a sportsman's store. Any sporting goods store will have it. Sportsman's Warehouse is where I bought mine. But there's Redhead and other places that sell gun cases. But look for the ones that have the egg carton foam. And that way each marble has a little place to rest. And space them apart enough where they won't bang together, because I've seen marbles damaged just in transport.
Yeah.
Because they think that they're safe,
Yep.
but they're too crowded, and then they're bumping together as the car's running down the road and hitting potholes, and then they get there and they're damaged. I had a friend of mine that came to a marble show, and she got out her case of Christensen guineas, and she had about 5 or 6 of them that were broke in half from transport.
No.
And so
many thousands of dollars down the drain.
Yes. A guinea nowadays will sell for many hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, but multiples of those.
Right. Just a single guinea is expensive.
Yeah.
So, just take good care of your marbles. I know one particular man that will wash his marbles with soap. I don't think you have to go to that extent.
Well, now I do want to say one thing. On the topic of on the topic of them being durable, the one thing I will give marbles is they are one of the only collectibles out there that you will find that does not have a shelf life. Mm-hmm. Comic books, if you don't store them correctly, they will dry out, crack, and you'll never be able to enjoy them again.
Coins, they can tarnish.
Tarnish. Baseball cards, same thing as the comic books. Beanie Babies, they're needing to be, held
I met a man that collected rubber bands, and you know how rubber turns hard and brittle. Goodness. It's like, why in the world would you collect rubber bands? He had wide ones, blue ones, green ones, red ones. Big looped ones. He had this big collection of rubber bands that they degrade, become junk after a while.
Even firearms, if stored in a damp environment, will rust.
I just talked to a guy that said that here in town there's a Ferrari mechanic that's world renowned, and he used to be the head Ferrari mechanic for Beverly Hills.
Really?
Yeah. And he had 2 Ferraris shipped to him from a collector in Korea, South Korea, to be reconditioned because they sat. They only had delivery miles on them, but because they sat, the seals went bad.
Yep.
You
can't use it again.
Yeah, and so I had to be reconditioned because they're made to drive.
And yet these, with as collectible as they are, I don't have a special set of gloves on.
Right.
I don't have, the oils in my hand isn't going to ruin this. I get to see it. I get to feel it. I get to hold it. I get to enjoy it.
That's history right there.
I get to enjoy it just as much as every kid got to enjoy it across the last 150 years. Mm-hmm.
You're one of very few people in this state that have even held a marble like that. There's not many of those around.
There's not very many of those around at all. Speaking of the market, in which if the viewer is interested and has a modest collection of machine mades, or maybe they've seen German handmades before, where could they go to purchase some of these?
Well, there's lots of ways to purchase marbles. One of the things that come to most people's mind is eBay. Problem with eBay is there's a lot of scammers out there, and you can get taken. They can ship something else to you. I have had people steal my photos off of venues that I've posted marble pictures on and pretend they're selling that marble. And I'd have people contact me and say, Jeff, I think I just saw your marble for sale on eBay. It's happened a couple of times.
Yeah. So frustrating.
So, yeah, I don't trust eBay at all.
Yeah.
So
Buyer
just buyer beware.
Yep.
Buyer beware on eBay. But
You
there
can-
are some good, reputable places to buy marbles.
You can also find, I'm not saying that you can't find good deals on eBay, right? But don't get taken.
Right.
Don't put all your eggs in that basket.
Right.
There are better places that we have found to purchase marbles.
Yes. So I have a website called oldraremarbles.com. And my website is a combination of things. It has history of each type of marble, focusing primarily on German handmades, but I have machine mades as well. But in each section, I describe what to look for, what makes one marble more rare than another, what colors are better to collect than others, what sizes, what features really amp up value. And so that's really, really valuable information for new collectors. So come to the oldraremarbles.com and study that information if you're a new collector. Or tune into our videos because we're going to be deep diving into this. And I'll be putting some links on to the oldraremarbles.com for you to follow.
But another place, one of my favorite places to buy marbles is through Facebook auctions.
Yes.
There is German Handmade Marbles Buyers Group. That is a great auction site. And there's also Marble Collectors Buy, Sell, and Identify. And
National Marbles.
National Marbles. And so the Facebook groups are a great place, and I would trust the sales on, you can ask for references from some of these people, and they will give references. I've been a seller on the Facebook groups.
Yes,
The admins,
I have as well.
The admins do a great job of keeping some of the riffraff out that are scamming people.
It happens, yeah. I have marbles for sale also on the oldraremarbles.com. But I also have, and this is probably a really unique feature about my website, is I have a section called Jeff's Gems. And what that is prices realized for exceptional marbles that have already sold. So the marble community can visit the website and see what marbles have actually realized prices for, what they've actually sold for. Now, why is that important? Because it's not an auction. You don't have that deadline to make your decision how much you're wanting to pay. You can actually look at a marble and say, do I want to spend that amount of money for that marble and make that educated decision without the pressure of competing against another buyer?
Yep.
Or the emotions of that,
Right.
or time frame to make your decision. You can
Well,
make
and it shows
an educated
real
decision.
values.
Real value.
Yep.
Right? Because sometimes auctions, honestly, the marble might go for more than it's worth, or it might be a bargain if you're the only bidder.
Right.
And
If you're
so-
the only one bidding on it.
Right, and so it can go both ways. But with the older marbles, the price is listed, the buyer buys it. That's what that value of that marble is. And so I think it's a very accurate way of valuing current day marbles, is just by looking at the Jeff's Gems section on oldraremarbles.com. Another thing is there are auction sites. You have Morphy's auctions, and you
Right.
have Bob Block's auction.
And those are reputable auction sites.
Reputable. I highly recommend them.
They know what they're selling. They aren't false advertising things.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the marble community. We've already mentioned some of the things, whether it be shows, whether it be.
Well, yeah,
But
let's
if the
talk about
viewer,
shows for a
yeah,
minute.
if the viewer wants to start getting
Yeah.
plugged in
Yeah,
to this
shows
community,
are the best place for you to learn marbles because you're going to see a lot of variety of marbles. You'll learn by handling, by talking to people, by seeing examples, and most people at the marble shows are very excited to teach you and show you what they have. Now, how the marble shows work is they'll have a date for the show. It's usually on a Saturday or a Sunday. But people start coming in midweek, like maybe as early as even Tuesday. And they're held in a hotel type venue. So there'll be blocks of rooms reserved for people coming to the show. And people who book these rooms will set up displays of marbles that they are showing or selling in the rooms, and they'll open their door to allow people to come in and view. And so you can walk down the hall at these marble shows in this blocked area, blocked rooms, and go door to door and see all of these wonderful collections and buy and sell. A lot of times there's bargains to be had at these shows. You have people that are maybe liquidating their collection or bought a big collection and have marbles that they're parting out. And so, yeah, it's a great place to buy marbles. But you learn, you meet people, you have good contacts. I mean, there's so much about that. And some good shows, like there's a Portland show. It's going on right now. We're recording this a little earlier than what it's going to view. And then you've got the Seattle show. You've got Indiana show, Decatur, Des Moines, Iowa, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Canton, Ohio. You have Marbles on the Beach, New Smyrna. You have a West Virginia marble show. You have a New England marble show. So there's marble shows no matter where you live. There's shows down in California. So no matter where you live, you're going to be able to find a show in that area. And
those are usually advertised on the Facebook groups.
Yep.
The Facebook groups aren't just for auctions.
Right.
There's also vibrant, just identifying marble
Right.
groups. When I first found the ivory bone marble from the 1700s, I didn't know what it was and was able to post pictures of it because it has very few markings on it. You can tell it's ivory due to the kind of the crisscross pattern of the material it's made from. But then the only thing it has on it is the Roman numeral 6 carved into it. And come to find out, this would have been from a game board type, very similar to a solitaire board, with numbered marbles.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some old China marbles with numbers on them. I've got a couple of collections of solitaires with 1 through 9 or 1 through 16. And what they would do with those is the object of the game was to line them up so that all the numbers equaled the same sum total.
Oh, yeah.
Each direction. And even diagonal, and it's impossible to do, I think. But
it's just it's
a brain teaser kind of game.
Well, but I mean, it would have been perfect for a voyage that was 6 months long, and you were stuck out on the ocean for 6 months straight, and all you had to do was the brain teaser of trying to get these.
Don't bump the table.
Yeah, don't exactly. Yeah. And then it goes rolling off the deck.
Oh, man.
But it's a great place for new collectors to come in, post pictures of their collections, ask about the different things about them, and get people plugged into them.
You'll get opinions, though. There are people that have a lot of opinions, maybe not the education that they should have to give their opinions. So just be aware of that. You're going to get maybe some conflicting answers. Like if you said, what is this marble? You might get more than one answer off of that Facebook group.
Well, and that's one of the reasons, Jeff, why we are starting up Keepers of the Marbles. because we want to keep these stories alive, but we also want to keep these stories accurate, right? Again, some of these marbles are, upwards of thousands of years old, like the Venetian one in the 4th century, but routinely hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to keep some of these categories straight, and so that's why we are going to be putting out as factually accurate information as we know, and then we're going to be opening up the floor to you guys to also have the conversation with us. We're going to have other experts on this channel. We're going to be really trying to bring this community together. And so, I mean, that kind of gets us into what's next for us.
Yeah. We are going to be doing our next video that we're going to be doing is going to be on onion skins. It's one of the varieties of German handmade marbles, and we're going to deep dive into that. And we're going to break that up into many smaller videos as well, if you don't want to sit through the whole thing. But if you want to learn just about what are onion skin micas, for example, or what are suspended onion skin micas,
or what's the difference between a Joseph's goat and an onion skin?
Right.
Because those are very similar marbles in look, but very different marbles in age and very different marbles in types.
There's other marbles that are confused with onion skins too, such as a 360 Indian.
360 Indian,
Indian that's got color all the way around it, 360 degrees, and it can be commonly misunderstood as a onion skin.
But again, you're talking very, very different prices.
Right.
When you're talking a 360 Indian that got chipped very routinely, because again, those opaque glasses and the surface bands, which are unique to Indians, versus the onion skins that had that clear layer of the clear layer of glass over them, that were also made on clear glass. They had a core of clear glass. And so there are very unique things, and we will be pointing these all out to you folks. But yeah, we wanted to get this intro out to the marble community and really.
Yeah, and no matter if you collect oddities, I mean, there's people collect marbles that are just like error marbles.
Yeah.
Just like that one right there. That's a double ingot. That's a Kokomo. That's a machine-made marble, Kokomo. And 2 globs of glass that were dropped, intended to be individual marbles, but they stuck together and rolled together into one. Or some people collect marbles that become football shaped, Some people collect German handmade marbles that were errors in different ways, I saw
single pontal ones that they aren't errors.
No, but they're
single pontal. Something like this, to where these, you wouldn't know it, but they're both onion skins right here. But this is a single pontal cloud onion skin, first off the cane, and it started it. And then this one has the poles at either end of it.
Pontal at each end.
The pontals at each pole of the marble.
I saw a guy that had a marble that had a button in it that popped off of somebody's shirt into the vat of glass. It was gathered up into the glass that was used to make the marble. What a cool piece of history that is.
It got...
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many ways of collecting marbles, very aspects of collecting marbles. But I would like to invite you, the viewer, to share with us your favorite marble story. Or maybe what is your favorite kind of marble? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And you can follow us on X and TikTok at Marble Keepers. And you can follow us on YouTube and Instagram at The Marble Keepers. We are Cody and Jeff, and we are the Keepers of the Marbles.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in.